Good afternoon, everyone. This is Corey Hinkle here for your Ankerstar Wealth Daily Update. Markets are very happy today, and we are going to talk about why. And then we're also going to look at Tesla's Robotaxi caveat. We're going to talk about someone you may not have ever heard of before, Kyla Scanlon, and some of her wisdom that she shared around the ceasefire talks and some of what's going on in the Middle East. Pretty insightful. And then we're going to talk about the ceasefire itself and who's asking for it, and is it here? Is it not here? All right, let me share my screen and we'll get started. But first, this is a financial education presentation. You must do your own due diligence before acting on anything you hear in this presentation. More information can be found at ankerstarwealth.com, and the opinions expressed are mine and mine alone. Okay, here we go. First, starting things off is that the S&P 500 is very happy today. We're heavily in the green. Markets are broadly rallying. The Mag 7 are doing well. There's speculative companies doing well. So there's a lot of bullish behavior going on in the market today. And where is all this enthusiasm coming from? We're going to talk about that. And let me go to that in just a minute. But first, I do want to hit on Tesla's Robotaxi caveat. So Tesla rolled out their Robotaxi service in a very controlled and small way on Sunday, June 22nd. And there were some incidents caught on camera in Austin that drew regulators' attentions. So here we go. Let's get a little more detail there. Tesla was contacted by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration on Monday after videos posted on social media showed the company's robotaxis driving in a chaotic manner on public roads in Austin, Texas. Elon Musk's electric vehicle maker debuted autonomous trips in Austin on Sunday, opening the service to a limited number of riders by invitation only. One Tesla Robotaxi was spotted traveling the wrong way down a road. We looked at that just a little bit yesterday, Mike and I did. And another was shown braking hard in the middle of traffic, responding to stationary police vehicles outside its driving path. So a spokesperson for NHTSA said in an email that they are aware of the referenced incidents and is in contact with the manufacturer to gather additional information. So again, this is day one, maybe some hiccups, some things to learn from and improve upon, and so on. Now, as with anything related to Tesla, there's always a little more than what meets the eye going on. So I've got a couple of interesting pictures. Look, this is lighthearted stuff here. Tesla is a very innovative company. I kind of first became aware of Elon Musk as a visionary back in maybe 2013 or 2014 when he was talking some about going to space, but he was talking some about how we designed our lives, buildings and things in a three-dimensional way, but we designed our transportation in a two-dimensional way. And he was talking about how we needed to look at adding the tunnel concept that he's mentioned a few times, the high-speed rail concept, and some other road concepts to make our transportation more three-dimensional as well. It was very interesting and thought-provoking for me, and obviously I've followed him ever since, as many of us have. It's how can you not? He's in the news all the time. But I have immense respect for what they've built there. But again, you kind of chuckle because there is a salesman aspect to what goes on with some of the things at Tesla that don't always, that maybe are a little bit more sales pitch than reality at times. All right, so here in this first picture, so you've got Robotaxi, right? And Tesla is, of course, competing with one of our kind of core holdings, Google, in the space. Google has Waymo in the market, currently delivering millions of rides. I think millions of rides, more than 1 million rides a month or more at this point. They're scaling all the time. But in this first picture, you can see that there's lots of desks. So this was going around social media. There are lots of desks here in the Robotaxi headquarters, I guess you'd say, where you've got steering wheels ready to go. And there's speculation that the remote access held at the Tesla headquarters can take over for any Robotaxi as needed. Also, top right picture here, you can see that every Robotaxi has a monitor, not a driver, but a passenger monitor. This is not one of the Robotaxi passengers who is just along for the ride. This is an actual Tesla employee. In these pictures, they noticed that every one of these Tesla employee Robotaxi monitors has their finger on a button. And there's a speculation going around online that this is a kill switch button that signals to the Tesla headquarters to take over for the Robotaxi as needed. So just some quirky things. There was another picture floating around from the Tesla headquarters on Sunday. This was after some posts about the amazing successful launch, showing just a mere 500 miles being driven across 35 different expected vehicles that might be in operation at the time. So, look, this is day one. It's funny stuff. Oh, and it's interesting. We're all interested in this, and just so happens that Steve and I and some of the other Ankerstar Wealth team are here in Austin, where this launch is taking place. Down here in the bottom right, someone mentioned that their Tesla Robotaxi was driving straight into very heavy glare on the cameras, and that the Robotaxi handled it perfectly. So, lots of good, obviously, with maybe some hiccups and much more to come. Now, there are some people more critical of Tesla about this. So we've got an analyst who highlighted safety critical errors and how they were averaging a critical safety error on Sunday, on the day of launch, like 1 in every few hundred miles of driving, which maybe doesn't sound like a lot, but people drive lots of miles all the time, and a critical safety error in every couple of hundred miles, if you think about a network of vehicles traveling around a city, would result in lots of crashes all over the place. So he was really questioning how ready the Tesla Robotaxis were. Why would they need remote access drivers available if they were ready for this launch? So he's speculating, this analyst was speculating that Tesla may have rushed the launch, maybe out of a fear that their competition was, pressuring them before they were ready. And then he highlighted, and now this is getting kind of nitpicky, that Elon Musk had hinted in the past that if there was any geo-fenced Robotaxi service, such as a service that wasn't just open to any road anywhere in the world from day one, that it was a subpar service. And they highlight that, well, Tesla's doing that here, and that their geo-fenced area may have been as small as just 4 miles. But again, I have no way to verify that. So there are some critics, lots of interest around this. And for what it's worth, the stock was up 10% Monday and down a couple percent today. Okay, now getting into why is the market so happy today? Here, there were some interesting reports about Iran's response to the United States missiles or nuclear-focused attacks over the weekend. So someone posted that Iran notified Qatar and Qatari officials with advance notice about attacks that were coming from Iran so that they could minimize casualties. This is according to 3 Iranian officials familiar with the plans. The market really liked this because this shows that Iran has a level of restraint with what they are how they're responding to what the United States did over the weekend. And a level of restraint might imply that there is not a motivation to further escalate things beyond this. Now, this is where Kyla Scanlon comes in. Kyla Scanlon is a highly respected, journalist, content creator in the finance space, and it's particularly for younger audiences. And I've got her book right back there. Great book. But Kyla Scanlon highlights that this is the world of wrestling coming to life. So what does she mean by that? She highlights that when you're watching wrestling, like the fake stuff, right, that you'd see on TV, there's a moral concept that is sort of embedded into every match and every storyline there. And it's this concept of justice, this concept that, when someone does something, they must pay for what they've done. They must had it given back to them. And, they are a jerk who needs punishment and justice. So Iran, seemingly aware of this idea, and this idea that you can't be viewed as a coward when someone has done something to you, and that it is your turn to make them pay. So Iran felt compelled to react in the world, to react to what had happened to them. But in that reaction, they showed a level of restraint and a level of care for how it would be taken. So Kyla is implying here that Iran is projecting strength and justice and a response to these actions, but the reports that are coming out are that Iran isn't actually seeking a heightened escalation of further activities from here. So again, feel free to pause this. It's a very interesting read, and I believe that Kyla's right here. I think that it's not so much that Iran is trying to save face or put up a front. It's that these are global problems, and Iran understands the problems and where they should and shouldn't take those problems from here. And that's a good thing. The market is viewing that as a good thing. Donald Trump also announced last night that a ceasefire is in effect, but he adds on, please do not violate it. And it does appear that there might have been some violations take place already. Hopefully that comes to an end very, very soon. Of course, we don't want any more pain for anyone in the world related to this conflict or anything else. Donald Trump also turned to his Truth social media platform to post that China can now continue to purchase oil from Iran. Hopefully they will be purchasing plenty from the US also. So a couple things here, and one is that oil prices fell sharply off of this news, so that's good, and the market's happy about that. The other is that we kind of have a feel based on Iran's response and some of how Iran handled that response about how Iran feels about not wanting further escalations. Here we have President Trump indicating through this post and the sentiment around this post that he also was only focused on the nuclear facilities and the nuclear capability of Iran. He wasn't focused on punishing Iran beyond that specific thing. So he also posted, both Israel and Iran wanted to stop the war equally. It is my great honor to destroy all nuclear facilities and capability and then stop the war. So, turning to the matter of energy and saying, hey, I don't want to disrupt energy trade between Iran and China. I just had one purpose here. We accomplished this purpose. We want to stop the war. Again, Iran felt compelled to respond, and they've done that. Hopefully that is stopped at this point. And all of these things sort of come together to paint this picture that this isn't a conflict that should escalate much from here. That can always change, and we'll be monitoring that. Obviously, the market will react quickly to any further information that comes out around that. So that's what we have today. What do you think? Are people being too harsh on Tesla? Do you agree with Kyla about this concept of justice and the wrestling world being brought into the way that global superpowers and other countries are responding to conflict and how they're handling it? What do you think? Do you think the ceasefire will remain in effect? So these are all interesting things. Thank you for joining us today, and we will see you tomorrow.